And we're live, huh? Here on Wednesday, April 1st, 2026, back in House Transportation. We're joined by the Deputy Commissioner of DMV and continue to work through the bill and the sections. While you're coming up to the chair, I wanted to let you know that I did a little background last night and this morning on all of the pieces related to the vehicle interaction, the testimony in terms of dealer interaction. And there were 2 or 3 slides, and your lieutenant was here yesterday talking about some of those pieces, or was it one of the deputy director? Anyway, I don't have the notes right in front of me, except at least one of the top 10 dealers in the state says that everything that you testified about, the huge improvements, the DMV, the dealer management, is absolutely true, and they're very pleased in the direction that it went. So maybe we'll get that on the camera at some point, but I wanted to let you know that my preliminary research was incredibly positive from one of the higher volume dealers in the state of news. So with that positive spot, let's, not that we're not where we're going isn't positive, let's get the background and the piece and see where we are. Different parts we can jump into. And
yeah, so Matt Russo, for the record, Deputy Commissioner for DMV. And we are speaking about Section 8, I believe it is, on electronic signatures. And this is under the salvage title statutes. This was done in coordination with Copart. Copart is an auctioneer, a national auctioneer who just not long ago, within the past couple of years, opened up their Rutland location, which is new to them. So we're happy to have them in the state. They do a lot of business. And I think what I would like to do is maybe give everybody a little background on what a salvage title is, so that when I'm referencing it, you know what I'm talking about. Section 9, yes.
9, I'm sorry.
I think I was one off.
For Section 9, yep. Well, we can talk about Section 8 at any time, the Smuggler's Notch.
We have questions in between, that's fine. Yeah.
Section 9 to start here.
All right, so a salvage title. So
all came out of language coming from the DMV and whatnot. So there.
Salvage titles come about when there's a total loss. So you have a total loss, your insurance company is going to pay out. They're required to get a salvage title from you. Well, they get the title and they make it into a salvage title by applying to the DMV. Then they pay out. The disconnect now is between the auction house and the insurance company. The insurance company is like, hey, we need you to auction this off for us. We need to get the paperwork to you as quickly as possible. Right now, it's all manual. You're going to sign off, send it through the mail back and forth. The biggest hiccup is that you now need this person who had this vehicle to sign off on it. Could be a single family with 1 car. You're waiting for them to try to find a way to get the information to you or to get there to sign for it. Copart asked us, is there a way that we can make this a streamlined process? So the request was that everything be done electronically in these instances where the signature is required from the customer. It can be done electronically, no notary required. And that way these documents make it to the insurance company who can pass it off to Copart and auction the vehicle off. Seamless and done. Wash their hands of it. And we are absolutely fine with that. We have no questions. NMVDIS, National Motor Vehicle Title Insurance Information System, is giving guidance on e-signatures now, totally for it. NHTSA, who federally oversees odometer statements, is also giving guidance as of 2019 in favor of e-signatures. As long as you're accepting e-signatures for other documents, you can use it for an odometer statement. And this has nothing to do with odometer statements, but just for some background. Any questions so far?
So how many of these things happen in Vermont in a year? How many, what are we looking at total loss?
Total loss.
Only related to a total, this is only related to a total loss title?
This is related to any title that is considered a total loss, where an insurance company is looking to have a third-party auctioneer sell it or auction it off. I don't have statistics for the exact number of total losses or titles that are issued. Salvage, we'd have to break it down by who applied for the salvage title, but I can get that information.
Representative Wells?
Any different rules for bringing an out-of-state vehicle? If you buy one in St. Louis, you got to re-register here. It was totaled. or has a total, paperwork with it? Any different rules there?
Same rules. We obviously require residency, but if the customer is in Vermont and wants to register that vehicle, they would go through the title, the salvage rebuild process.
Yeah.
And
What is it called?
the salvage rebuild process. So you have a salvage title, and going back to NMVDIS for a second, the National Motor Vehicle Title Information System, anybody can obtain that report. And what that report gives you is similar to a Carfax with just that much more detailed information on titles. And it will list any brands that have been applied to that in the past. So you'll see the change in titles from state to state, and then below that, you'll see all the brands that have ever been on that. That salvage brand will always be there, and it's for everyone's protection. So you buy a vehicle, you know that it was a salvage vehicle at one point. You know what you're getting into. You know it's going to be less value. So same process. You out of state, you get a title from Ohio that's salvage. As long as you're going through the rebuild process to make that vehicle rebuilt, inspection, Carfax will rebuild it and give you a Vermont title.
Yeah, the title in our bill here says salvage certificates of title, forwarding of plates and titles of crushed vehicles. So all salvaged vehicles aren't crushed.
We don't use the Crush brand. We will accept it from other states. In Vermont, Crushed we won't retitle, but we will rebuild them if they come from out of state. So if a salvage yard in Vermont reports it to NMVDIS as a junked vehicle, you'll never see the title again. It's been crushed in Vermont. If it's coming from out of state, a lot of those could be misbranded. And if it's able to be rebuilt and roadworthy, then we'll rebuild it. So salvage to Vermont is encompassing of many different other brands. Every state has a unique brand they use that may not be nationally recognized. For instance, Vermont uses Bonded. That's not a nationally recognized brand. It's specific to Vermont. Not all states use those. The same goes for Florida. They use a specific brand for salvage vehicles that when it comes to Vermont, we consider it a salvage. We don't use that brand.
I'm still confused because it says forwarding of plates and titles of crushed vehicles. Why does it say that?
The title.
I mean, I
of the
just
section.
assume.
Yeah, because that's just included in the section. So this is specific to salvage certificates of title.
Oh, God, yeah,
This section includes
those.
the vehicle's been crushed. We need your plates and your title and everything so that we know that it's no longer going to be on.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, that.
Sorry, that was a little confusing.
Got it.
I wasn't sure if I missed anybody else. Representing Valley for now.
Yeah, so there's salvage and there's salvage, basically. There's different kinds of, has different meanings in different contexts and in different states. And in Vermont, salvage means you're done, like,
Salvage means that the vehicle has been a quote unquote total loss.
yeah, okay.
So if it comes out from out of state with a junk brand, we're considering it salvage and you're going to go through the same process as you would for a salvage vehicle.
But in other instances, salvage refers to a vehicle that can be redeemed in some way, right? Rebuilt or whatever. So, and you guys follow some specific objective process for making those determinations. So sort of an apple is an apple
Correct.
kind of thing. Okay. That's,
Statutorily, there's a process for us to be able to rebuild it.
yeah.
Into salvage. Those the other states, brands fall into the same category as what we already have in statute. So,
So like a sort of common language among
correct.
states for this. Okay, right. It just seems like this is potentially a bigger and bigger problem with, cars that are damaged by floods and may end up coming here
And that's where NMVDIS is really important. It's unable to be advertised kind of like Carfax is.
Yeah.
They have commercials and everyone knows what Carfax is. NMVDIS is unable to do that because of the Department of Justice, but it acts in the same way. And we promote it on our website. Hey, make sure you get this report so you know exactly where your vehicle came from and you're protected.
I didn't understand the comment about brand. What context do you use in that word?
Branding is a key on the title that denotes anything that's ever happened to that vehicle. So if, we'll say somebody
Okay,
uh
so this is
had a
like,
salvage event,
right,
and it was on the seacoast and it was saltwater damage, we'll mark it salvage and then saltwater damage.
okay, so brand is a reference to what happened to the vehicle, like brand on a cow or something.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
Okay,
It's gonna let you know where that,
Yeah.
what the history of that
Yeah.
vehicle
Now I get it.
was,
okay,
yes.
thank you.
The other states allow electronic signature on
They do. So right now, there are only 5 states that do not. Louisiana is one of them, and as far as I know, from Copar is never gonna go anywhere. It's in their statute, it's not allowed. The other states, Washington is one of them. They're currently working with them. They're working with the other 4 states, Vermont included. And it's already in the process of moving forward. The only state that they're not working with and they're unable to is Louisiana. So eventually all states will allow e-signatures,
except for the Napoleonic Code.
except, exactly. Wow. That's
So
the
there-
only state that I know of that's not moving forward.
On the end of the section C at the end, and an insurer shall indemnify and hold harmless the department for any claims arising from the issuance of certain certificate of title pursuant to this section. You're saying, so you issue a title that was based on electronic signature. It turns out there was some kind of issue with it. They can't come to you and say there's a problem.
Correct.
Is this a bigger liability thing than what our committee would? How big of an issue is, I'm not, indemnify is not something that I have a whole lot of experience with. Is
It's almost
this-
like commerce, yeah. I mean, That's sort of my thoughts is that electronic signatures, they're just so easy to, anybody can set up an email address. Is there like a downfall to doing electronic? I mean,
So you just need to make sure that you're set up for identifying that the e-signature is valid. They track IP addresses when you're doing this. They use NIST.
yeah,
So you just have to make sure that you're set up to know how to verify that an e-signature is real. And other than that, I can't think of any other issues.
Representative White?
Thank you. So when you're talking about this e-signature, did you say Nest? I mean, is it like DocuSign in terms of,
NIST is the national standard for electronic signatures.
is that similar to DocuSign?
So, yeah, they would DocuSign, the company that they would use NIST standards.
Okay, got it. Thank you. And the process for getting a salvage certificate. So I wreck my car. I have it towed to an auto body shop. They say it's a full loss. I then get some paperwork from them, send it to the DMV. And
So you'd first contact your insurance company.
Yeah.
They would more than likely say, let's get it looked at. They would either come out, have it, or offer that you go to a body shop to get it evaluated. If it is a total loss, the insurance company takes care of everything. They will obtain the title for you, or if you already own it and you have the title, you'll submit it to them for the payout. Anything beyond that is done by the insurance company in coordination with the auctioneer or wherever they're selling it to.
And so where does the salvage document come in that?
So the insurance company will use the salvage application to apply for the salvage title.
Okay,
Once we produce that salvage title for them,
okay. So they just kind of need it for their records.
exactly.
They'll pay me.
They want to verify that this vehicle is a salvage and that it's not going to be on the road until it's rebuilt. And if they're paying out for it, they want to secure that.
Okay. And then say I take my car in to get inspected and they say, I'm told this is unfit for further driving. Take it off the road. Is that a salvage?
Is that due to an incident? Salvage
say that's
would
just
have to
like-
be due to a car crash, for
Okay.
instance,
Okay,
or an event. I'll call it an event.
Okay.
Would need to occur. It can't just be regular wear and tear.
thank you. That answers that question.
So my understanding, a hurricane comes through the south, got thousands of vehicles that are insurance claims, they get paid for it's no good, they pay them. A lot of those vehicles end up here.
Mhm.
And there's a couple of dealerships in a particular area driven by for that, my understanding of the stories, they're all coming from potential water damage. The insurance companies have paid out that claim to somebody back, likely down in that hurricane area. Now they are salvaging it and then putting it back out. Are all of those vehicles on that a salvage title in that scenario?
Those would all be salvage titles, yep, and I can think of one dealer that specifically that does that kind of repair, that does a really great job, but I can't speak for all dealers,
Right.
in or outside of Vermont.
So that scenario of a dealer that built their business on this or someone, they're getting, the insurance companies down there pay they're trying to get a title to that vehicle so that after the work they've done for it, they can then sell it.
Mhm.
This is where this title comes in,
This is where this title would come in.
the DMV is issuing it to them and then they're gonna sell it. But that person that buys it would be able to see in this the program that when they look it up, the Carfax version,
Mhm.
that this has happened. So that there's a piece through there. Does the title itself that the physical
Title itself, so
Does it
the
say
reason that,
salvage in some-
yeah, it would still say salvage. So the reason that you'd want to still run an Invitas report is just for any history that may have fallen off inadvertently on the title, but you still will receive the title. And that's the reason that those brands never fall off, is so that you can track what's happened to it. You can see that it had a salvage event. You can see that it was rebuilt, specific to saltwater damage or water damage. I mean, that affects the electrical. So you want to make sure that you're buying it from somebody that can show you the receipts that these are the things that were fixed. We replaced all the electrical, right? But those are things that are great to have on your title or on Vitas, so you can track that kind of information and know that you're getting a vehicle that was actually built with the right parts.
And the consumer can tell that it's it's obvious, the title is always gonna be marked that way.
They'll always have that information if they pull a report, or it should be right on the title.
It has to be.
By law, it's supposed to be on the title.
Okay. So the request here in the language is to allow that when that heat process is happening, instead of the mailing of documents back and forth, that you'll be able to accept an electric.
Correct. It's something we do accept electronic signatures. This is just to codify it specifically for this situation to make it easier for them and streamline the process.
So this is a request from the insurance companies?
This is the request from from Copart,
Oh,
Copart, the auctioneer.
the auctioneer.
There was an issue for them getting people to sign and making this seamless so that people get their payouts.
Representative Casey.
So if I go to Salty Bob's Used Cars and I buy a car, is he obligated to tell me that
He is,
it's all salty?
by law, he's required to, and it's on our form to mark the box. that says
Okay.
This was salvaged.
Perfect.
This is gonna make the process of selling off the salvage vehicles faster.
It's gonna make the process faster for all parties involved, from the customer who's waiting for that check, to the insurance company who's waiting for the auctioneer to get that and be able to sell it legally. Because a lot of times, every time, they're requiring ownership documents before they can even auction it off. And without that, they can't do
And
anything.
you're saying the insurance company holds up the payment to the original claimant?
The insurance company no, they wouldn't hold up the payment. I guess it would depend on the situation, if it's being auctioned, if they're paying out based on the damage. We're able to get this even from the customer electronically signing it, instead of having to snail mail it.
Okay. And we gathered electronic signatures are handled similarly throughout state law and process. Okay. What's the downside to doing this? Not doing it, other than, I mean, it exists the way that it is today.
From my point of view,
From yours or the agent, what is there, or I'm gonna,
I don't know if you're asking the committee or me.
yeah, I'm sort of doing both, I guess. What else do we need to hear from, is there a downside to doing this? Is there an opinion from the
I think that-
department on what their mayor? What's the downside of continuing to live this today?
The downside of continuing as we do today, is that there isn't any backup for the situation in statute. Something could change down the road. Right now, we are accepting electronic signatures, the request is that we codify it so that there is something for them to fall back on for the streamlined process. Because there were,
Catching up the law to the practice.
correct, yep, we're codifying what's already in practice. My assumption is that there were enough incidents and situations where things were held up because somebody wasn't able to get there to sign. And this will secure that for them.
Representative Allen?
I am wondering are these rebuilt cars the kind of a source of some more affordable vehicles for Vermonters?
You could say that,
Yeah.
as long as they're done correctly. Yep.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns about the section? Do we need to hear from anybody else? Do we need to
They're already
check?
doing this in practice, that's all I need to hear. Yes. That's answer.
Yeah, I think the thing that was holding people up was NIMBYDIS. All states are a member of NIMBYDIS. So getting some guidelines from them, as well as NHTSA. NHTSA had guidelines restricting e-signatures. And they've even since 2019.
So they were rejecting some and some.
They said, well, federally with NHTSA,
Oh, yeah.
you couldn't. But it became a bigger issue. And as we move further and further towards better technology,
Yeah,
I think they probably had to release some guidance saying, hey, this is, if you're going to do it, this is how you should do it.
all right.
And in 2019, that's what they did.
So they have been doing it, and then they said, oh, if we want to continue this. Yeah.
Yep. They said, if you're already doing e-signatures and you're accepting them, if you're doing them according to federal standards, then odometer statements are also okay.
Okay, well, I guess unless there's other spots that people have questions about or where we need to go or anything else that we need to hear. Okay, you want to tackle any other areas right now?
I can answer any questions if I have the answer.
Excellent. Well. Then. It's not an April Fool's joke, in the last couple of weeks of 4 times and issues, etc. We are adjourned until tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. It's 9:15, I'm not sure what we are.